Okay, so a bit of a unique machine to show you today. I'm going to waffle on for a bit, so if you want to skip ahead, feel free. But I've got a bit of a story to tell you. Basically, a story which has resulted in this machine. So, basically, much of the work I do these days is what we call communal cleaning. So, big blocks of flats, apartments, things like that. It's my job every week to clean the communal areas. So, the hallways, stairwells, things like that. Pretty much all the blocks I do are carpeted. It's quite common these days, especially in the luxury apartments. People want carpet, it's fashionable. So keeping these carpets clean is quite a big task. Some of these blocks you've got upwards of 100 odd people living in them, coming in and out on a daily basis. These carpets get pretty dirty, so you need quite a powerful machine to keep them looking clean. So naturally I sort of went towards an upright. It makes sense, obviously upright on a carpet, and I found they just weren't cutting it. Basically they were really struggling. So you get a particular kind of dust in these buildings. It's almost gritty but sort of powdery, very fine at the same time. You're getting a lot of dirt and rubbish dragged in from outside, dirt dragged into the communal areas from people's homes, things like that. So it's quite a particular kind of dust you've got to bear in mind. So like I say, the uprights just weren't doing the job. The first one I used was my Kerstar upright, and I found that the filtration was awful. It was going straight through the paper bag and leaving the exhaust covered in fine dust, which wasn't getting filtered out. So most of that was going through the motor and getting blown straight back out again. I wasn't happy with that. I spoke to Kerstar, and there was no uprated filter option or bag option or anything like that. It was the standard paper 2-layer bag, and it was getting clogged very quickly. So the next machine I went for was an Enzen SM1, which is basically a SIBO X series but without the automatic height adjustment. And you know, in the trade these are regarded as pretty much the best you can get. They're fantastic machines, and that really struggled. Basically the bag would get about a quarter of the way full and the suction would drop off, and the machine would shut itself off to prevent overheating and damage and things like that. So I found that, you know, I was changing the bag almost on a daily basis, changing the filters fortnightly, and I couldn't keep that up. So naturally I was looking at dirty fan machines and things like that, some of my retro machines which do a great job, but the filtration just isn't there, and I can't be dealing with vacuums that, you know, blow dust all over the place. It's not good for anyone, and it's not productive either. So went back to suction only, and to be honest with you, in some of these blocks where you're vacuuming for hours and hours at a time on carpet, you know, suction only is hard work. It really is, and you just don't get that look. You know, you don't get that nice groomed look. The carpets just don't look as good. So I started to think about making my own machine, because I think I mentioned it before, but you know, cylinder vacuums with a power head are just non-existent in the UK. They have been for years. They were quite common in the 80s, but for years and years they just haven't been available. So it's quite hard these days to find a commercial tub vac with a powered head. They're very common elsewhere in the world, especially in America. So I started thinking about putting together my own one. So naturally, the base for the machine was going to be my Kerstar KV10, because it's just brilliant. There's nothing else like it. It's got bags of power, it's got enough capacity, the filtration's great. Kerstar do their own sort of version of the HEPA flow bags. So yeah, it just made sense to use this as the base for my monster vac. Problem was, it hasn't got a power takeoff. Kerstar don't make a cylinder machine with a power takeoff. They weren't willing to do it for me, so I had to get good old Dan over at Pneumatic Rule 29 to do that for me. He's a very, very clever guy, and he's done a great job. So bearing in mind this machine is solid steel, he's managed to put together a fairly neat PTO for me. It was no easy job. Like I say, he's had to cut through the steel, and he's not done too bad a job, to be fair. There's a couple of little nicks there, but I'm not going to grumble at that because it wasn't easy. So that was the first stage. So I've now got Kerstar with a power takeoff. So the next stage was finding a suitable power head. So the first one I tried was this Kerstar power head, which is absolutely brilliant. It's based on a Sebo 350 power head, so you know, exactly the same as the upright models. Problem I found with this one is obviously I had to run a cable up the wands and down the hose, clipped on, and although it performed really well, it was an absolute pain in the arse if I wanted to use the machine for hard floors or above the floor sort of cleaning. I had to take everything off, the cable, the lot, and that just wasn't working for me. So I did try and alleviate that by putting a connector midway up so I could just unhook the hose from the rest of the wand quite quickly. Again, works really well, but it wasn't quite what I was sort of setting out to do. I wanted a complete machine that was going to be nice and neat, easy to use, and still enable me to use tools and things like that. So I got my friend Stu to help me out, and he very kindly donated this awesome Kerstar power hose for me. So basically I've had to glue the Kerstar machine end onto the end of the hose because originally it was a Kerstar hose. The power cable is inside the hose, so it's not tucked onto the hose itself. It's nice and neat, doesn't get caught. Managed to keep my swivel there. So cable comes up into the hand grip. We've got a on-off switch there for the power brush. Comes down the wand, nice and neat. And there we go. We've got this lovely big wide power head, which I think was from a German Fakir machine. But they've been used on all kinds of different machines over the years. Nilfisk's, the early pneumatics had something similar, I think. So basically that's what we've got now. We've got the Kerstar KV10 as the base, which is brilliant. I've had to make a little extension lead here, so I've got a little side exit ice connector or kettle connector, whatever you want to call it. So there we go, that plugs into the power takeoff like so. I've clipped that under there just to keep it secure. That goes straight into the hose, and there we have it. That is my my custom built Kerstar KV10 with a power wand. While Dan had it, I got him to put a nice big thick industrial rubber cable on because I was having issues with the original cable. It was just it was going curly, which they do over time. It's making it more and more difficult to sort of wrap around the machine, or you know, I was losing some of the length. So I've got 14 meters now of rubber cable, so it means I won't have to use extension leads in the blocks and things like that, which was a pain in the backside. And the nice thing is I don't have to disconnect a load of cables and things like that off the wand and the hose when I want to use the machine for hard floors. Standard 32mm, so all I have to do, unhook this from here, and then your standard floor tool goes on the end. If I want to use the end of the hose for dusting, things like that, just unclip it. A bit difficult to do with one hand. Well, believe me, there we go. It unclips, pops out, and I can use the end of the hose. Simple as that. So now this does the job of both an upright and a suction only cleaner. Because it's got big filters, bigger capacity, doesn't lose suction as quick. We've got more power, it's a bigger motor than you'd get in an upright. It just does the job brilliantly. I don't know why more commercial vacuum cleaner makers don't produce a tub vac with a power head. It just makes perfect sense. I haven't got to carry an upright and a cylinder in my van now. I've just got the one machine, and it's just so much easier, just simpler, a lot more versatile. So you know, Kerstar, pneumatic, all the others, if you're watching, you're missing a trick here. You really are. There's a lot of people out there that would love a machine like this, I'm sure. It's a shame I've had to, you know, make my own one, but I'm very happy with it. It looks great, it looks professional, it works really well. So there we are. Let's give it a run.